As Polly was just mentioning there, the sole surviving suicide bomber of that Paris attack in 2015 has just been convicted in court in France. I actually visited his flat in Molenbeek in Brussels when he was in hiding, and nobody knew where he was, and they didn't know, and they were scouring the earth to get hold of the guy, Salah Abdeslam. He was actually living behind the central police station in Molenbeek and having coffee every morning in the little coffee place in the square and getting his shopping and all the rest of it. He was just behind the police station and they couldn't find him, which is kind of our theme tonight. Jeremy Vine was demanding to know, as is the way with the solipsistic narcissists of our media, why the government isn't talking about his sore throat, why the government isn't producing a white paper on his croaky voice, why the government isn't locking the country down because of his slight vocal tickle. Well, the government isn't talking about, this may stun you, the government isn't talking about Jeremy Vine because it's too busy talking about Vladimir Putin. Boris Johnson says Putin only invaded Ukraine because of his, quote, toxic masculinity.
If Putin was a woman, which he obviously isn't, but if he were, I really don't think he would have embarked on a crazy macho war of invasion and violence in the way that he has. If you want a perfect example of toxic masculinity, it's what he's doing in Ukraine.
You know, I get that after 12 years of supposed conservative government, there's not a jot or tittle of conservatism to show for it, but I wish at the least so-called conservatives could at least be bothered to talk like conservatives. Toxic masculinity is leftist framing. And if you take it seriously, it refers not to Vladimir Putin launching wars, but to say, selfish, opportunist men who shag anything that moves and then, should anything unfortunate result, talk the bird into getting an abortion. Just saying, Boris. However, if we are now to define toxic masculinity as walking uninvited into somebody else's country, then what about all those strapping young lads arriving on England's southern shore every night of the week? Because unlike Ukraine's borders, Captain Butchboy, the UK's borders are actually your responsibility. And speaking of toxic masculinity, what about all those towns up and down the land, Rotherham, Telford, Rochdale, Oxford, Oldham, Aylesbury, Banbury, where industrial-scale gang rapists rape English girls, serve, if they're very unlucky, 3 years in jail, and then, as we reported last night, avoid deportation by renouncing their Pakistani citizenship. So they're strolling their old beat, running into the girls they gang raped and urinated on and dangled off balconies. Fortunately, the girls are now 16, 17, so they're a bit long in the tooth to attract the gang rapists' attention. But even so, unlike Putin, that toxic masculinity is your responsibility. Matter of fact, if you're so concerned about toxic masculinity, how about doing something about general police lethargy on sexual assault? The median time to lay a charge in a rape case in England and Wales has increased sevenfold from 70 days, that's a little over 2 months, to 465 days, that's over a year and a quarter. Only 3% of sexual offences result in even a charge or summons. So if your tastes run to sexual assault, you've got a 97% chance of being entirely untroubled by Her Majesty's Constabulary. On Sunday in Ilford, East London, a young lady called Zara Alina was 10 minutes from her home when she was attacked. Miss Alina was robbed, then raped, then murdered. And I was struck by this line from a statement put out by Miss Alina's family, quote, Zara believed that a woman should be able to walk home. And she's right. Once upon a time in London, a woman could walk home, but not now. As I always say, Britain is the land where everything is policed except crime. Cressida Dick has gone, but her wretched police force staggers on very much in her image. And yesterday, Her Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary announced the Metropolitan Police would be put under so-called special measures because of, quote, critical shortcomings. I was struck by this one. You know that if your house gets burgled, it's all but impossible to get a copper to come round. But at least you can always call their 24-hour customer service helpline and it'll ring out at their answering machine in the South Sandwich Islands. And assuming the cassette hasn't run out, you can at least leave a message about the burglary and it will therefore get recorded in the national crime statistics. Whoa, whoa! Don't make any such assumption. Greater Manchester Police was placed under special measures because it failed to report 80,000 crimes. Same thing now with the Met. They've failed to report, I think it's 69,000 crimes. So when we're told officially that only 6% of crimes result in a charge or a summons, the real figure may in fact be even lower. Let me know your take on British policing. GB Views at gbnews.uk. Palm Sand.